Hello, Jenni Janakka, but you can call me Jenny! Jo, vad är det nu? Bra? I watched this documentary of history of sex in Finland, and what stood me most was the way people were talking about women in that documentary. There were these old video clips, interviews from the 60s, 70s and also 80s. And it showed well in those interviews that we have this thing in our culture that we think that women are, or at least should be, keepers of monogamy. That women's and their actions are easily judged by the community and society. 50 years ago, in 1967, here in Finland, there was this article in a newspaper that woman alone in a restaurant without no gentleman does not lower the restaurant standards. Does not lower the restaurant standards! During that time, it was okay if restaurant chooses not allowed women in without gentleman. 50 years ago. It was only 50 years ago. I want to thank all the women and all the men who have worked for the change, worked for the gender equality. Because of them, this kind of thing that I'm here, I have this YouTube channel and I'm talking about female sexuality and self-image is possible. This video is about women's status in society and how that affects on us and how that is affecting on women's self-image. In Sweden, as all the countries here in Nordic are very highly ranked in a scale of equality, a few years ago they made this survey about history books that were used in schools. They counted persons who were mentioned by name and only 13% of those were women. Sad thing was that how little I was surprised about that number. 13% of the persons who were mentioned by the name were women. But this is because in history women were not active outside of home, not allowed to. It was 1990 here in Finland that this law came into force that woman was entitled to gainful employment without her husband's permission. The ability to work outside of home makes women visible in society. Work and ability to get paid from that gives us a freedom, gives us the freedom to be equal. In fact, anthropologist Helen Fisher has said that we are now living a time where women are no longer economically depending on their husband or anyone. Think about that. Of course, that kind of thing affects in several ways into society, but one thing is that women are no longer needed to stay in unsatisfied relationships. And I'm not here saying that all the relationships are unsatisfied. No, of course not. Don't get me wrong. My point is, because we can work, we have our salary, we are free to choose. Even though in most Western countries women are still paid only approximately 80% of men's salary. Nowadays I feel like it's quite often when you can read about some ranking lists of the countries where those have been put in an order which one is best on something. And if you are looking into those ranking lists, the happiest ones, the most stable ones, those are the same countries that are in the top of the list of gender equality. I read this column by the journalist Annamari Sipilä where she introduced this fascinating idea that the ultimate equality indicator should be women's sex indicator. How free women are in sexual ways to do or not do whatever they want to, without no threats or shame, without other people's judgment. She wrote, "Sexual freedom of women is the supreme form of freedom. An unequal society can make consensus on women's rights, like allow women to go to university or vote. But woman who loves and do whatever she wants to do in her bed, that's supreme freedom." And if you have watched my videos, it doesn't surprise you that this kind of way of thinking resonates with my thoughts. And as I said in my last video, why we need to talk. People with healthy self-esteem and sexual confidence, with respect on one another, that's beautiful. If you like this video, please subscribe and maybe leave some comments down below. There's gonna be a new video next Thursday. Till the next time, hey!